Righty-ho, welcome to this video. You can see I'm in my car at the minute. I'm just heading off into town. I thought this video I wanted to give you an introduction into priming your models. Like I said in the episode 1 of the Conquest magazine, I'm not too happy with the way that they tell you to paint your miniatures, because you don't prime your miniature for a start. I've had a few questions about what primer do I use, and so on and so forth, and to be honest with you, I don't use the cheapest primer available, and I know that the cost of this hobby can be an issue for some people. So what I'm going to do is I'm heading into town now. I need to buy myself a rattle can of my own primer, because technically I don't even use a rattle can to prime, because I own an airbrush and I tend to do my priming via an airbrush, which it's a bit expensive for some newer people. So I'll go into town. I'm going to nip in there and grab myself a rattle can of what I used to use when I used a rattle can. But while I'm in town as well, I'll have a look around and I'll see if I can find where you can buy primers from other shops and how much they are and so on and so forth. So stick with me, and yeah, we'll go on a trip to town. All right, so come on in. So when you get to priming your models, now obviously Games Workshop do sell rattle cans as well. The problem is, one, they're really expensive. Now if you wanted, for argument's sake, you're painting gold models and you wanted your models to have a Retribute armor base coat, then that's fine. Spending your 12 quid on a rattle can and you're getting a primer and a base coat done at the same time is fine. But if you're, for argument's sake, wanting to paint salamanders or something where you need a different base coat colour, don't go to Games Workshop and buy their primer, because it's too expensive. So we're going to have a look around town and I'll show you some of the shops that have different rattle cans at different prices. Spray or grey primer spray, and it is 4 quid. Plastic coat primer, and we're going to have a look to make sure that it's acrylic. We'll have a look, but that is okay, that's fine, and that's $6.99. And you can get it in white as well, but I get the grey one. And then we got this one, which is the one that I buy. It's grey primer. Perfectly fine, you read that 1 to 2 minutes, and then it's only £5.50. Yeah, so yeah, that's yeah. The grey and the white primer, £5.79. There we go. Right, so primer. So you get the primer done, and so we come indoors, and then I'll show you exactly how to prime your model. Alrighty then. So we went to town, right? So that was fun, and did a few bits and pieces. Terrible cameraman, but I'm back at home and I've got my old fancy computer where I can do me different screens. So as you can see in the airbrush booth, just down there, but it's actually over there, we've got the Intercessor Sergeant from the Conquest magazine. Alright, and that's the model we're going to prime. Now, as you can see, he's on a Citadel basing handle, Citadel painting handle, that's the one. But you don't have to. You could use an old pill bottle or a cork from a bottle. And then all I've got on top of that is a bit of blue tack or poster putty, depending on where you come from, or white tack or anything like that. It's just literally just something just to onto it. But I do have the painted handle, so I may as well use it. Now, primer is in this jug. This jug has got some really nice warm water in it. Rule number one when using a spray can: warm it up. Alright, don't make it hot. Alright, you're not supposed to be, you're not trying to make it hot. But what you are trying to do is get that nice and warm to the touch. Okay, and then I did say rattle can. This one doesn't rattle. Alright, but you keep shaking it. It will say on here, shake for a minute before using it. Listening for the rattle of a mixer ball. Ah, there is a rattle in there. There we go. Ah, you see, it's getting caught on the paint that's actually in there. All right, so give it a good mix. That was the lid. Haha, I'll go get it. All right. Oh dear, there. So give it a good mix. All right. So give it a mix for a good minute. All right. All right. Okay. So that's given it good shake, a good shake through. And you know, if you've ever got a rattle can in your hand, just shake it, it's fun. Alright, so, and then feeling it, it's nice and warm. It's kind of, it's not the kind of warm that you'd keep your hands warm in winter, but it's room temperature, then plus 1 or 2 degrees, just to, you know, it's nice. It's you know, you can feel it's warm. That's important, okay? And after the good shake, if you use it cold, it won't come out properly, okay? And you could end up just using a load of, you know, it just won't come out properly, alright? So, once you've done that, you give it a good shake, every 1 to 2 minutes of using it, okay? And then, what is really important when you're using a rattle can is you don't spray it in one long spray. Okay, what's really important, and I'll give it 1 or 2 puffs now, is what's really important is that's what you're spraying like, yeah? You're not long sprays, it's quick bursts. 1, 2, 3. Don't try and do it in one long go, okay? It won't work, alright? So, I need to turn that on, alright? So, my airbrush booth. It might get a little bit noisy. I know that the microphone does work. Let me just lift this up. I know that the microphone does work when I'm this far in the room, and I do know that you can talk over this, but I'll turn it on anyway. It does get a bit noisy, but trying to spray outside, where's me, there we go, let's move there. Trying to spray outside is not really a good idea when it's cold. You saw what the weather was like today, it's not brilliant, and it's night time now as well. So trying to spray at night time in the cold, you don't get a really good result. Ideally you're outside in nice dry temperatures, it's nice and warm, but you know, needs must. That's why I've got an airbrush booth, is so that I can do this indoors. But well ventilated, you know, this stuff here, it's got nasty aerosols in it, yeah. So, you know, and little ones, if you're watching along, talk to a grown-up about doing this, yeah, because, you know, I don't want to get in trouble, you don't want to get in trouble. Just talk to your grown-up to give you a hand with this, yeah. And obviously, if you've got another half, yeah, just yeah, follow her rules too, or his rules, yeah, just because you don't want to get in trouble. Anyway, let's spray this, shall we? So we're going to get onto this model, and you can see this is the Intercessor Sergeant from the Conquest magazine. So we'll get on with this now. So short puffs, yeah. What I do need to do first, oops, if you got access to them, rubber gloves, or certainly one, especially the one that's going to be holding the model, because you know this stuff does get everywhere. So a bit of a rubber glove, or something that you don't mind getting dirty, because this stuff does get everywhere, and it's primer. It's designed to stick to the plastic of the model. Yeah, so it's going to stick to your hand, it won't come off very well. So here we go. So what we're going to do is nice short puffs. 1, 2, 3, yeah? And you should see it happening. Ready? Keep turning the model, don't leave the model in one place for any length of time. Short puffs. And there we are. Well, is that gonna focus for you? There we go, all primed, okay? He looks a little bit thick and like you've lost some detail. Don't worry about that. We're just going to leave him. We're just going to leave him to. Let me bring this down a little bit. Oi, there we go. We're just going to leave him to dry for a few minutes, and then I'll show you the finished result. And then I'm going to explain to you exactly why it is that we need to prime these models before we paint them. So there we go, folks. Alright, he is now all primed. If I can show you that, if it will focus. It's not going to focus, is it? Oh, it's a bit of pain. There we go. There we are. See, there he is, all focused. And you see we haven't lost detail on there, even though he looked like we had when we started. And that's because the primer, the aerosols or something, I don't know exactly how these things are put together, the aerosol stuff, but when you first put it onto the model, that you've got the aerosol mixed in with the paint, and the idea with the primer is you've got to wait for the aerosol to evaporate, and then the paint then starts sucking itself to the model. So I said I would tell you why we have to prime these models. Well, first of all, specifically for these blue models, is that that's now grey. Yeah, that is now a perfectly blank canvas for us to start adding other colours to. So we can use, you know, I could have primed white as well, and I could have primed black, and it would have done the same thing. We could then paint other colours over the top. I use grey. Now that's important as well. I use grey because it's a neutral colour. It is literally halfway between black and white. If I use black, whatever colour you put on top of it tends to get darker, because most paint isn't exactly 100% opaque. And if you use white, the opposite happens, because it's the opposite of black. Things get brighter and more vivid, which for some people that is, you know, it's useful. And there is a slightly more advanced technique. I think people call it zenithal highlighting. I just call it pre-shading, to which we start spraying black from underneath, white on top, and it gives us a nice gradient between the two, and then you can go further with that as well. That's a little bit complicated. We'll get to that way in the future. But for now, the point is, I've now primed it grey so that it's a nice blank canvas. And it's also why I do it on these blue models, because blue would have affected the colours that go on top of it. So I don't want my model to be blue before I even start painting. Okay? The other reason why we prime our models is just generally just so that the paint will actually stick to it. You know, paint doesn't like sticking to plastic. I mean, you can do it, and there are pro painters out there will tell you, I never prime my models. Which, you know, is fair enough. If you can get your paints to work without priming your models, then brilliant. I'm telling you guys, as new painters, to prime your models, because the last thing I want, if you're getting into the hobby, the last thing I want is for you guys to kind of finish painting a model, you know, and whether it's perfect or not, and I've showed this during my live show, that's my first model, yeah. It's not brilliant, certainly not to the standard that I'm happy with these days. But if you've finished painting your model and you're reasonably happy with it, that the fact, you know, specifically for your first try, and then the second you start playing with that model is your fingers start rubbing the paint off, you're going to be disheartened. And I don't want that for you new players out there. So prime your model, and also the paint that you put on top of the primer is going to stick better, and it's going to last longer. Now we talk about varnishing and protecting your finished paint job further down the line when we finish painting, but start with a decent primed model, and you're setting yourself up for success. Yeah, don't prime your model, and I suppose the opposite is you're setting yourself up specifically for new players and for new painters. You'd be setting yourself up for failure. So that's priming a model. And it's as simple as that. It really is, and you've got some really decent, you've got a really nice blank canvas to work with. So, thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please feel free to click the like button and share it around if you really want to. Don't forget, if you want to see more from me, press the subscribe button, and if you want to be notified, hit the bell button as well. In the description you've got links to all of my Facebook, all of my social media, and my Patreon if you want to help support the channel, and so on and so forth. Feel free to peruse them at your leisure. Alright, so thanks for watching this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Alright, ta-ra.